LocalBozo.com is proud to have with us as our guest for an exclusive interview, violinist from the Dave Matthews Band and now screenwriter and producer, Mr. Boyd Tinsley. Boyd, thanks so much for giving us some time today.
Hey, thanks a lot, man, for having me.
Boyd, August 30th marks the world premiere of the film Faces in the Mirror, one that you wrote, produced, acted in, and also helped to score. Talk about what prompted the idea for you to create a film in your own vision.
I thought about making a movie in about the mid-'90s when we made the Crash Into Me video. It was so beautiful and so emotional, and just like the music and the film of that video just sort of were married to make like just chills go through me every time I saw it. So that director, Dean Carr, really inspired me, and from then on I said, I want to make a movie. And then over the years I've been thinking about the ways I would go about it, and one of the elements was, it's just like putting the music, that you could actually make the music before you make the scene, because to me it's just like I want to experience emotion from a movie. And it's like the way to do that is when the film and when the music are just like absolutely married together, and what you feel from the music, you also feel from the film, and it becomes like an experience, something that just goes through you. And to me, that's more important than anything. It's just like when I go to a movie, I just want to feel something, and that's what we did here. We just made a film where we literally danced the film to the music. And it's just like they became one. And so it's like when you get into this movie, it's almost like an album. It's just like it's an experience that you sort of get lost in. It's like a dream, like a fantasy. And you can experience it in different ways every time you see it, I was one of the editors, so I've seen it hundreds of times, and I still love seeing this movie. And every time I see it from a different perspective. I see things in it I never saw before. And I feel it a different way, and it's the movie itself, really, the premise of it, I wanted to give everybody freedom to completely express themselves, musicians, I just told them the basic premise of the story, and they expanded upon it. I say, just play from your heart. And that's what they did, and they opened up the story. They gave us the rest of the story. And we directed the movie. All the actors watched it. Everybody watched the movie. The screenwriter and everything was built around the music for this movie. So it's just like I wanted to create something that you could feel. And the other thing was I wanted to just start with an idea and then have it expand upon it, so that you don't really know exactly where it's going to go. That you're only going to find it as the experience unfolds.
Well, you certainly seem very passionate about it. What was the biggest challenge for you as a first-timer just in getting the film made?
Well, I mean, it's just like basically I had no idea the process of making a film or the mechanics of making a film. I just knew what I wanted out of a film, and I knew how to go about getting that, and it's just that was where I started. And fortunately, I had like a great director, a great crew, cinematographer. I just had a great people around me that could do and understood the mechanics. I could just say, this is what I want. I want this scene with this big bonfire, and I want all of these just sort of wild people dancing around it, like some sort of pagan ritual party out in the woods. I'll say that, and then I'll leave it to Aaron to come up with, what he sees that as. My part was really to express how I wanted things to look, but also how I wanted things to feel. So I was one of the editors of this, with Aaron, and we edited this movie. But the rule was we always made the movie dance with the music, and we always had to feel something. It could never be like a situation like, well, we have to have this shot because of this or because of that. It's like, no, you never, in my opinion, you never have to have a shot. To me, it's just like in the way I make it, you just need the shots that you need to create the feeling. That you feel from the scene, because this movie has very little dialogue. So what you are following a lot is the feelings of the main character, and the emotion of his feeling is amplified through the music. So it's just like he is communicating with us through his eyes, which are amazing. He's a very expressive actor, Ryan Orr. But also the music as well. Those two together, it's just like you don't need the words. You know what he's thinking. You know what he's feeling. You know what this feels like. And so that's what we created that's what we set out to do. And, and we came up with just, this beautiful movie. And it was because people were free to open up their hearts and to let all their creativity pour into this thing. That's the only way you can do something like this. You have to be completely free with no rules, no boundaries.
How about a brief synopsis, or what can fans expect from the film in your own words?
There's a young man named Ben. He's about 30. He grows up so resentful of his dad because his dad was always away a lot as a workaholic. You know, he grew up lonely. He grew up bitter. So once he grew up, he never came to see his dad. He never called him. He just sort of, just lost all contact with him, and suffered through all these years of guilt. And he finally comes home when his dad dies, for the funeral, and he is completely distraught, because he loved his dad, he really did love his dad, but it's just he felt such bitterness because his dad just had to be away. His mother died when he was a kid as well, so he was a really lonely kid. So he goes and he sees a friend of his, Dylan. And Dylan, knows that his dad has died, and, Dylan is just trying to do his best. And the only thing Dylan can come up with is just like, well, I'm going to this party tonight. Why don't you come with me, and just to get out of the house, because Dylan's just kind of like a partying guy. But at the same time, he has a big heart. He just wanted to make sure, Ben, the lead character, was not, left alone in his house. So he goes to this crazy party out in the woods, this bonfire, with all these just wild people just dancing around this bonfire. It's very just dreamy. It goes into like there's 3 different parts of the scene, and it's almost inspired some degree, at least the license to do it by there's this amazing dream sequence that's just like really trippy by Salvador Dali. That just sort of almost spells out the story and like all the symbols, all the things that are going on in it. It's like a lot of like rich blood colors and all these different things. And that gave me license. Like in a movie, you can just go to this place. You can go to this dream world, and it's okay. It's just visually beautiful. And we went there in this case. And that it was like, in a sense, it was like a portal into this like whole dream sort of, that this guy sort of goes on. Beyond that, we don't know if it's real or if it's a dream. He just meets these people that sort of brings him what he's looking for, the peace that he's looking for, what he needs to hear to be able to relieve himself of all the guilt and all the regret and all the pain that he has experienced, growing up and being away from his dad in his adult life, So it's this odyssey that takes place over a 24-hour period. That transforms this character in the end through all these people that he meets, these different people. And, we're left with, who are these people, and it's a kind of movie where you can interpret it really the way you want to interpret it. I mean, for the most part, people sort of interpret it in a very similar kind of way. I mean, sometimes you out here people bring different aspects to it, but you can interpret it any way you want to because it's such a movie of emotion and feeling that this movie can relate to you according to your own personal experiences.
Did creating Faces in the Mirror stir up the creative juices for you in that regard? I mean, do you think we can expect potential future screenplays from Boyd Tinsley?
I definitely want to. I love this. I mean, I absolutely love this. You have no idea. And I worked on it every day for 3 years. And I loved it. And yes, so definitely I'll do a movie again. As far as the creative aspect of it, I mean, just in general, it has opened up my creativity. Even in DMB, in the studio that we just recorded an album in January called Away from the World. It's just like when in that session, it was just like I was really more free and more open than I've been in such a long time. It's like this movie like sort of expanded my sense of creativity to say that, wow, there are no boxes. You can just go there. Fearlessly go there. So it really has made me a more bold like performer and just like more free and fearless about just going somewhere that I may have never even gone before musically. But just going there, and it's just like, it's amazing. I mean, this summer has been such an amazing tour. I mean, it's just like everybody's just so much creativity is just pouring forth. And there's just so much just freedom out there. But at the same time, we're all together on the same page, but everybody is just completely open. know, it's really, it's a universal experience of what's going on now in DMB. It's just like a really just resurgence of a lot of creativity that I haven't seen since the very beginning. We are just going wherever, and it's been great. I mean, the movie's been great for me in that regards, and it's just been a great year creatively for this movie and for the band.
Let's talk about that for a second. Fans have been hungry for a new Dave Matthews Band album for some time. Away from the World will drop in September. Talk about what it was like to get back into the studio with producer Steve Lillywhite for the first time in over a decade, and what fans can expect to take from this new record.
Well, Steve is amazing. He has been with us for 4 or 5 albums, if you count Lillywhite sessions. And Steve just gets stuff out of us. He just gets stuff out of us that I don't think anybody else can. You know, I think he understands this band in a way that nobody else does. He really knows the essence of what it is and also of what each member contributes to it that makes the Dave Matthews Band. So he has this way. He gets stuff out of me. I don't have no idea how he gets it out of me. But he does, and he does that for everybody. And there's a certain magic that he just brings to the studio. And a lot of what Steve does, you know, too, is just he makes you comfortable. He always makes sure the vibe is good, that everybody's feeling good and that there's positivity, because in order to really go there, like musically or in a movie or anything, you have to feel comfortable because you have to open up your heart. So he's really good at that. And this is one of my favorite sessions that we've ever done. It reminds me of the Under the Table. It reminds me of the Crash sessions, you know, just like the excitement of just new creative of ideas flowing, and the sense of we can go anywhere. We can do anything. We can play, you know, anything that we want, and not be afraid. And so that's the spirit of a Lillywhite session. It's like freedom, openness, and magic. And so this is one of my favorite albums, and I can't wait for people to check it out.
Boyd, how have the new songs been received so far?
People loved it. I mean, we played about 4 of the tracks from the album on live this summer, and people love those. And we have a few of them out, you know, on the radio right now, and I'm just hearing nothing but great things about it. And it's just, I mean, I'll just be honest. This album blows me away. I mean, it absolutely blows me away. And I'm very excited for people to hear it. And it's like an album in a sense of like, in the old sense of like a story. You know, it like sort of tells a story, this album. And it's, you know, so it's, you know, a lot like the movie I'm talking about. It's just like it tells a story. It's like you get in it, you know, because the movie's very much like that. And the album, you can jump in at any point and you can continue on in a ride because it's just like a story. This album is the same way. And you can't wait to see where it goes from here. So I'm really excited for people both to hear the album and to see the movie as well. And I have to say, I mean, even Steve Lillywhite was a big influence of me in the way that I went about making the movie, in the sense of I wanted to also create that vibe to make people comfortable to just be free to go there, you know, to dig into their hearts and to have no limits of where they go. And a lot of that I got from Steve Lillywhite. There's no doubt, you know. I mean, I had the benefit of growing up with one of the best producers in the world, and I learned a lot from that. And he's a great guy as well.
Let's just jump back to the film real quick. The premiere is on Thursday, August 30th on snagfilms.com. It's a site that provides independent films with sort of a broader scope for reaching audiences online. How did you get involved with Snag Films, and what can we expect from being a part of the live experience on Thursday, August 30th?
I got involved with Snag Films. I met Ted Leonsis, who is the owner of Snag Films. He's also the owner of the Washington Wizards and one of the founders of AOL. But he's also a very humble guy, very cool guy, who's very passionate about movies and things that he loves, like the Capitals and Wizards and sports. And I met him at this fundraiser, and, you know, we just literally sort of bumped into each other, started talking, and we started talking about movies. He was telling me about his site, Snag Films, that digitally releases a lot of documentaries, And, you know, he was just telling me about some of the movies, and I started to tell him about the movie I was making and how we were making it. And then we finished the movie, Faces, about 3 years after that meeting with Ted. And I said, wow, well, who am I going to go to distribute this? And I was like, well, wait a minute. How about Ted Leonsis? And so I sent it to Ted, and Ted watched it. He loved it. You know, he had the president of Snag Films watch it, and like days later, they offered me this deal. And the movie's going to be released on, you know, iTunes, Netflix. Of course, you can get it on snagfilms.com. And it's going to, you know, come out on DVD later on in the fall. But it's great because this company has really understood that this project is, I mean, it's a different kind of thing. You know, we have to go about it a different kind of way as far as the way that we promote it. And it's been very much a grassroots from the ground kind of thing. You know, we've had events where we've, you know, invited people down to music venues and to see the trailer and to see a scene from the movie. And I'll have like some musicians, and we'll have a jam session afterwards, you know. And it's like just to create, it's like a whole experience, just like the movie itself, you know. Not just going to sit down and watch a movie, but there being like a whole experience, you know, watching this movie with all these different people, then having a musical performance, you know. And then also there was a time when there was a time during the show that I go out and talk a little bit about the movie itself and ask questions. I mean, you know, have people ask questions of me. So it's just like we're going to do that kind of thing. Even once the movie is released, we're going to take the movie itself on tour. And we're going to go to music venues. And I want to share this movie with, you know, 1,000-seat theaters, you know, in like a rock and roll kind of vibe. Because that's the kind of energy that really makes this movie come alive. You know, that's the kind of raw energy that it was made in. And that's I think the place where it really should be experienced. I'm really happy that people are going to see it on, August 30th, and it's a live webcast. It's you can watch it at snagfilms.com/faces, it's just a beautiful movie. So I'm really excited for people to see it.
All right, Boyd. Final question: if you could join one band on stage today for one song, who would it be? Oh,
well, Radiohead just popped in my head for some reason, but. That's definitely one of my favorite bands. I don't know if I could just get in there and just sort of start improvising on Radiohead. I don't know. I mean, you know, with Neil. I mean, Neil. I have jammed with Neil. Neil has, you know, come up with the Dave Matthews Band, and it's really weird. It's just like being in DMB. You've already played with so many like great musicians. You know, like when you played with like James Brown and Carlos Santana, you know, and Al Green, it's kind of hard to think of like who you want to play with, but. In answering your question, the person is Stevie Wonder.
Awesome. Well, Boyd, you've been so gracious with your time today. Is there anything else you'd like to leave for the readers of localbozo.com?
Hey, I just want to say thank you, first of all, for having me on the show. I'm really excited for people to see Faces in the Mirror on August the 30th. And tune in to snagfilms.com/faces. Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it.
Fans, Faces in the Mirror, the brand new film written, produced, and scored by the Dave Matthews Band's Boyd Tinsley, premieres on Thursday night, August 30th. You can RSVP right now for the premiere, featuring an introduction by the man himself, the film, and a post-show performance at snagfilms.com/faces, and stay on top of Boyd's musical travels with the Dave Matthews Band and their new album, Away from the World, which comes out September 11th, wherever you buy your rock music. And of course, for more information on where you can catch the band and tour dates, check out DaveMatthewsBand.com. Boyd Tinsley, thanks so much for your time today on localbozo.com, and all the best of luck with the film and your new album.
Thanks, Greg. I appreciate it, man.